Welcome. Good to sit it.
Nobody's told me I never did.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Let me just first thank everybody for joining us for this important announcement. Got Channel 2 joining us late in the game. I also want to thank Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and Speaker John Burns for being with us today. Our constitutional officers, I'm not going to name all of them because I think we have all of them with us today. I certainly want to thank the leadership in the House and Senate from the Republican majority caucuses that are here with us today. Just cannot thank the General Assembly enough for their support in this effort, but also a lot of other things that we're working on. And one of those is our shared commitment to protecting Georgians from the disastrous effects of Joe Biden's failure to secure the U.S. southern border. We're also joined by just a great man, someone who has led our state with distinction, Major General Tom Cardin of the Georgia National Guard. Thank you, General, for your service and for your folks. Director Chris Stallings of the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency, and General Cardin and Director Stallings have done a lot of great work on behalf of our state, and I just want to thank both of you guys for your response in a lot of different ways over the last 5 years. I also want to recognize and thank the proud members of the Georgia National Guard who are with us today. Thank you all for your service. These men and women have served our state with distinction in so many ways, just over decades in our state, but certainly for my time in office with the COVID response, civil unrest, their service in country and certainly around the world has been just incredible. And we cannot thank you all enough, but also just want to thank your families back home that are supporting what you do every day. So we're grateful for that. Today, we reinforce our commitment to keeping Georgians safe, but also the right of states to defend themselves against threats when an administration in Washington is unwilling to step up and lead. After years of warnings from Republican governors like me across the country, and after record-breaking numbers of illegal crossings at the border and seizures of dangerous drugs, weapons, and violent criminals, no one can claim there is not a crisis at our southern border. And thanks to the failures of the White House, now every state in the country is a border state. If you think this is just about politics, then listen to these numbers, because numbers do not lie. 8.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed the border since Joe Biden took office. The Border Patrol arrested almost 250,000 people crossing the southern border in December alone, a new all-time high, up 13% from the previous record. 169 people on the FBI terror watch list were encountered at the southern border in fiscal year 2023 alone. This is an all-time high record. And as a result of the Texas Operation Lone Star efforts, they have seized 56,000 pounds of meth, over 458 million doses of fentanyl, and over $51 million in illegal currency. But they can only do so much in absence of any meaningful federal support. So the drugs, the gang members, and the human traffickers, they don't catch, are headed to other states just like ours. Last year, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was involved in 91 cases that included seizures of fentanyl. That's up 51% from prior year's numbers. Those figures don't include all the local law enforcement seizures of this dangerous drug. I've been speaking out on this issue for a long time, since before I took office and long before other people discovered it was an issue worth talking about. And that's why we've had continuous Georgia Guard presence on the border since 2019, the longest of any state. And it's why I was proud to stand alongside fellow governors not long ago in Eagle Pass, Texas, and reaffirm Georgia's commitment to helping secure our border when Joe Biden fails to act. To be clear, the crisis on the border is a national problem, and it demands a national solution. But if the Biden administration continues to fail the American people, then we have no choice but to step in. Therefore, I'm announcing today that in addition to the Georgia Guardsmen already stationed at the border, we will send reinforcements to Texas this spring who will assist with the construction of a forward command post on the border with Mexico. This group of well-trained soldiers will include those with engineering, mechanical, and general purpose skills. Their contributions will be outlined by the official request made by the Texas Guard to our own Guard and to Director Stallings at GEMA. So I want to again thank General Cardin and Director Stallings again for their leadership and their good work in helping us prepare for this deployment. Let me close by saying that this is not a partisan issue. You heard the numbers for yourself. This is a public safety and a humanitarian crisis caused by Joe Biden's failure to act. The crisis is ruining lives, families, and whole communities overrun by the challenges it brings. Well, while Joe Biden may not be willing to act, we will. I'll now turn it over to one of our partners in this effort, our Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Governor.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Speaker, First Lady, and all members of the Senate and the National Guard as well. As the Governor said, we have a crisis on our hands. We have a crisis at our southern border that has been going on for quite some time now. While they say it is 9 million illegals who have come across the border, the truth of the matter is we really don't know how many have come across. We really don't know what that number is. But I want to applaud Governor Kemp for standing with Texas, standing with Governor Abbott, and I want to applaud the General Assembly as well as the Speaker for standing with the Governor and Texas on this issue, because what we're seeing here in the state of Georgia is an influx of people from human trafficking to drug trafficking to everything that is reprehensible under the sun. And you know, when you have kids that are being brought here displaced from family members, it becomes a strain on our agency. And our Commissioner Gross, I know with our DFAC system, is working very hard to place kids that have been separated from their families. And it is one of those things that we're going to have to continue to work with because of the fact that the Biden administration has totally failed our country as a whole by not doing the right thing and enforcing our immigration laws and shutting down the border. And so we have been forced, the state of Georgia, along with other states, have been forced to take it into our own hands. And like I said, I want to applaud Governor Kemp for his efforts and his leadership on this. And we're lucky to have such a good, strong governor and good partnerships with our legislative branch that allows us to be able to do this for the state of Texas. And I look forward to working with the Speaker of the House, which I want to turn the podium over to right now. So, Speaker.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Governor? Well, good afternoon. It's a great day to be a Georgian and a great day to be an American. I can assure you of that. I want to thank my colleagues in the House and colleagues in the Senate, Lieutenant Governor Jones, the National Guardsmen, men and women that are here, and the leadership for supporting our governor who's doing the right thing. Thank you, Governor Kemp, First Lady. We appreciate you both. You know, it's hard to believe, but 4 years ago, this country had a secure border. I want to share a quote with you. I'm going to let you decide where it came from, then I'll tell you. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants in this country. Those words certainly ring true today, but it might surprise you to learn that President Barack Obama was the one who said them. The simplest fact of the matter is that the massive increase in illegal immigration we have seen in this country is not a red state issue. It's not a blue state issue. It is an every state issue, and that includes us right here in this great state of Georgia. And beyond the humanitarian and public safety concerns, the data reveals just how economically harmful this crisis has been. According to one report I've seen, illegal immigration is costing Georgia taxpayers over $2.2 billion each year. And as the federal government continues to pour billions into cities and communities struggling to handle this influx, if just for a fraction of those funds went to border security, we wouldn't be dealing with this issue. I don't believe that the American people will stand for this. The people of Georgia will not stand for this. And the Georgia House will not stand for the lawlessness and chaos going on at our southern border any longer. That's why today the House was proud to pass House Resolution 1019. Two of my colleagues, one was a sponsor, one was a huge supporter. Chairman Stephen Saines, the sponsor. My dear friend, Chairman Rick Jaspers, was a huge supporter. House Resolution 1019 affirms our support for the state of Georgia and for Governor Kemp to engage in this crisis, send support and resources to Texas to help stop this massive flow of illegal immigration into our country. Governor Kemp, we've got your back. And under your leadership and with the support of the Georgia House and Senate, our state will continue to stand strong against illegal immigration and for legal immigration in this state and this country. Governor Kemp, I return the podium to you.
Well, thank you, Speaker. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Jones, or members of the General Assembly that are with us. And again, thank you to Director Stallings, General Cardin, and our men and women, our National Guard. We'll open it up for a few questions.
Governor, do you have a ballpark estimate for how many National Guard troops will be sent to the border and how much it will cost the state?
Yeah, it's probably going to be, we got 29 people down there now. We're thinking that it'll be somewhere between 15 and 20 for what they're asking for. So obviously it's not going to be a huge cost for us. But look, we are responding directly to what Texas is asking us for, and that's what Director Stallings and General Cardin will be working on. We'll get that request in writing and be ready to respond. I will say there is a lot of states that are stepping up, a lot of Republican governors that are stepping up to offer assistance because they, like me, believe that we just have to do this when we have a president that will not act. Well, first of all, I'll say, look, it's divided government in Washington, D.C., and like I said in an interview over the weekend, the Congress, I think, had a bad week. One house is controlled by Republicans, the other by Democrats, but the president had a bad week, too. But I would remind you of what I said over a year ago at the World Economic Forum when I was on a panel with Senator Manchin, Sinema, and Coons, and I said, They were telling me that they were working on this bipartisan border bill. And I said, look, that's great. But while you're doing that, and by the way, you've been doing that for the last 10 or 20 years, it seems like, while you're doing that, just secure the dang border. The president can do that. He has governors. He has the National Guard, a lot of other state resources. People would love to respond if he would just ask us. I mean, over a year ago, Republican governors went to the border talking about the same issue that we are dealing with, these same problems with fentanyl, with all these other issues that even, blue city mayors, Democratic mayors around the country are complaining about. He undid so many things that were actually working at the border his first week in office. And now he's having to play political catch up and trying to blame Republicans because, one bill didn't pass in a divided Congress. But to me, the buck stops with him. He knows what he can do. He knows what he can change. And we stand ready to help him do that if he simply will. So he shouldn't be blaming this on Congress. Look, I hope they keep working on trying to get something done. I think that would be good for the country. But in the meantime, there's still resources to secure the border. And this whole idea of, there's no money out there, the federal government reimbursed the states almost $800 million last year for having to deal with this crisis. So why not put those resources into stopping the crisis at the border to start with? There was an article about the city of Denver. They have 3,000 more kids in their school system to the tune of costing almost $20 million because of the number of unaccompanied minors and kids that are now in their school system. They had, I think it was 9,000 or 10,000 visits to their hospital because of the rise of illegal immigrants that are in the city. I mean, it is crushing their taxpayers. It is crushing their social services. That's what the Lieutenant Governor was talking about with DFACS and Commissioner Brose. You think about these unaccompanied children, they are going to end up in our social service system. And it's going to be the Georgia taxpayers that are having to pay for it because we have a president that will not act at the border.
Mr. Governor, do you believe that people who are claiming asylum are illegal immigrants, and do you think the United States should refuse to accept people who are claiming asylum?
Well, I think that we have laws on the books to deal with those things. There's other things and executive orders that the president could do. These things have been done in the past, so there's plenty of precedent out there to do these things where you can control. Look, I support legal immigration to our country. When we were at Eagle Pass the other day, 2 weeks before we went down there, thousands of people in the gully or the gulch or whatever they call this park that they have down there. We went down there because of what Texas had done. There was nobody in the park but National Guard people and Texas state law enforcement officers because they had shut the border down. But the bridge overhead, there was, people coming and going the whole time we were down there. They're doing that every single day through a legal process, which we support. We are talking about people that are coming here illegally into our country and overrunning our systems. Well, I would say that, we're going to be doing engineering, kind of setup type work. So, our National Guard's not going to be going and arresting people. We don't have those powers. We'll leave that up to the Texas authorities. So, if you will, we're going to be there in support and helping them build a command post. If y'all know more details than that before getting this in writing, you got anything else other than that? Or?
Just simply say, our response to Texas is going to be at their request. Whatever they're going to need from us, I would describe our services more of wraparound services, which will be in support of their forward-facing mission, and our job will be to support them, to stand ready. Of course, Major General Tom Cardin and his team will always respond as needed with manpower, but more specialty needs in the area, as the governor mentioned, in providing shelter, structure, those type situations.
And I would just add, too, that in the past, I think one thing I learned when I went to the border, when we had a team down there that was they were helping the Border Patrol service their vehicles. If they got torn up, they would fix them. If they need servicing, oil change, new tires, whatever, they would fix them. They were doing surveillance work. We were flying, helicopter missions, locating folks. So we're trying to free up the Border Patrol to simply do apprehensions and do a lot of that back-end work, that they're not having to do that and, deal with illegal people coming across the border. And so that's really what I think Texas is looking for now. But look, they're going to have a lot of resources down there to help them from a lot of different states. So we're really looking at them for directions on, number one, what they need, but number two, on timing. Because we want to make sure when we send our folks down there that they're going to be productive and they're going to get work done, and then we'll bring them back home. Say that again, I'm sorry. You talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. or here in Georgia? Yeah, I'll let the legislative leaders speak to any pieces of legislation. Our focus has been budget-driven and working through Director Stallings and the National Guard.
Last question.
Yeah, and I had the figure in my remarks that we've seen, I think, a 50% increase in the number of fentanyl cases that just GBI is dealing with. That's not talking about local law enforcement. So definitely taxing our system. Commissioner Brose actually reached out the other day after reading an article that she sent to me about the number of unaccompanied minors that are coming across and what that is going to do to our foster care system, our social services network. You can imagine what that is in other parts of the state. I mean, in some ways, we've been fairly lucky in Georgia that we're not dealing with influxes like they certainly are, in places like Texas and Arizona, or also where individuals are now being shipped to places like, whether it's New Jersey or somewhere like Denver, which is why we're responding, which is why, I would just leave you with this message. Look, we want to support helping secure our border. This is a national crisis. It's a national issue. Every state is a border state. But we realize the way to deal with this is for President Biden to act. We stand ready to work with him if he would simply just do that. And that's what we are begging that he do. Thank y'all for being with us.